Alright, let's take a look at some of the other features that are available when working with tracks. If we come over here to this panel here, you're going to see the various tracks that we have laid so far. And as you can also see, each one of these is numbered, with number 1 being at the bottom and then going up from there. Now, if for some reason you find that you need to move these tracks around, you can do that. This would be more of an organizational preference. You may want to have all of your audio tracks together. For example, if you have both narration and background music, you may want to have all of your special effects types organized. For example, all your annotations together or all of your animated effects together. So it's quite simple to move these tracks around. All you have to do is click anywhere in one of these tracks. So let's say we want to move track 1 and put it above track 2. We would just click here and hold here on track 1, and then I can move that up, and you'll see I'm still holding on to it, but it has now become track 2. And what was on track 2 was moved down below to track 1. That's the way to move up a track. You can also take, for example, track 3 here and move it down to track 2 position or even to the track 1 position. So that makes it pretty easy to move your tracks around and organize them. Another thing you'll notice here are 3 icons. There's this kind of an eye icon, and as you hover over the icon, it will display a description of what the icon is. So in this case, this eye icon gives you the option of either hiding a track or only viewing a single track while hiding the others. To hide a track, all you've got to do is click on the eye, and the icon will change to an eye with a line through it. Now, if you look at track 3, compared to these other 2, you can see that it's darker and rather grayed out. As we start the playhead here, you'll notice that track 3 is not being played. It's not being rendered or displayed up here. So it's effectively hidden. Now as we hit this, you're going to notice track 2 has come on and track 1, the black screen. But track 3 is still hidden. You may want to hide a track if, for example, you might want to cut the sound out while you're working on video edits, either because it's distracting or maybe you have 2 audio tracks and you need to disable one so that you can hear the other one or get it balanced before adding a second audio track. So those are some reasons you might want to hide a track. But there are also occasions where you will want to isolate one track and just work on it and hide everything around it so that you can focus on that one track and not be distracted by other tracks around it. To do that, we'll come back here. We're going to click again on this eye, which will reveal track 3 again. And this time, if you're on a Mac, you can hit the Option key and then click the eye. And it will have the opposite effect of where it will just isolate and reveal this track 3 and hide everything else. You can see track 1 and 2 and 4 up here all have the eye icon with the line through it, meaning they have been disabled or hidden. Now all you'll see and hear is what's going on track 3. You'll notice down below none of this is registering. So that will allow you to work on one track and not be distracted by the others, or it also prevents accidental editing on other tracks. There are times where you might be trimming a track, and if you hit the select all function, you might end up trimming several different tracks. So that's a way that you can just isolate one track and work on it and not worry about the others being affected. And then once again, you can come back over here and hit Option again while you click on the eye. Now that's the option for a Mac. You can also just right click if you're on a PC in here, and you'll get this menu, and to do what we just did where we isolate one track, you would select Enable Solo Track, and you'll see it has the same effect. The eye turns green in this case instead of having a line through it, and now once again we can only see track 3. To deselect with this method, again, right click here and then hit Disable Solo Track, and then everything will be back. You can also use this right-click method to hide a track. Again, coming into this menu, and you would select Turn Track Off. Now you can see the lines through the eye, and once again, track 3 has been hidden. So that's how to hide a track or isolate a track to work on it. Now, if we come back over here, we'll go ahead and deselect this so that we can see the track again. You can see there's a couple of other icons over here. This magnet icon, as the description shows, says that media on the track will be magnetized. That is, the magnetized function acts just like a magnet would. It will take two different selections on a track and bring them together. And it will take everything and bring it to the beginning of the timeline. So you can think of it as magnetizing this block structure right here so that all of these icons will be drawn over to the beginning of the timeline. So if we click on track 2, for example, watch these tracks over here. You can see they were both brought to the beginning of the timeline, and they have both been put together. Now this might come in handy when you want each segment on a track seamlessly put together. It's an easy way that if there are any spaces or that everything will be put together. You do want to be careful using this function because there are times where you do want some space in between tracks. You might use the space if you're fading out to black and want to remain black for a few seconds before you go into the next segment of your video. Or you might have a situation like we did with this track 2, where these two segments were spaced out over here in such a way that that overhead perspective only came in at certain parts of the video. So you do want to be careful using this function. If you accidentally hit that and bring everything over, you don't need to worry. You can always undo the current action or several of your previous actions by using Command-Z on a Mac, or I believe Control-Z on a PC. You can also go up here to these two arrows. You've got the undo, and it will show you the key command. In this case on a Mac, Command-Z, and then redo is Shift Command-Z on a Mac. So if we were to hit that, you'll see now that track 2's been put back how it was. So don't panic if you accidentally hit that button and it forces all of your tracks together. You can always undo it. Okay, and finally, we'll look at this lock icon, and it does what you might think it would. When you click on that, as the description says, the media on that track will be locked for editing. So if we come up here to track 3 and click on the lock, you'll see this diagonal pattern appear over that track, and it will appear to be lighter than the surrounding tracks. That effectively means you can't make any edits or do anything on that track. Like the hide feature, it will prevent you from making any changes to this track. However, unlike the hide feature, you will still be able to see this track play as you're working on your other tracks. So again, if we come here and put it on this track 3, you can see that it's still played even though it's locked and I can't do anything. If I try to click on it or delete anything, it won't let me. So this is a good feature if you have finished one track, you know you don't have any more changes to make on it, you don't want anything getting altered on it, it's in the state you want, but you still have to work on some of the other tracks. You can effectively lock that track and then it will save it from unwanted edits. And then at the end of your project, if you want to lock all of them, it's just a safeguard that will keep everything in the final state that you want it to be in.